it do, y'all? It's your girl Makeup and Travel, and for today's video I am here to bring you guys a travel themed video. I realized that I made like a sticker on my computer of requested videos and I completely forgot about it. I randomly saw it yesterday and I'm here to bring you guys those requested videos. If you're wondering what's on my eyes, I did record this look. It is with the Whale Song palette from Menagerie Cosmetics. It will probably up before this video, and if it is, I will hopefully have it linked down below. No, I will have it linked down below and hopefully up in the cards. But one of you all requested for me to tell you how I pack for a trip and purchasing a hotel room. So I'm gonna break those up. I'm gonna try and break all of these videos up so I can really target your questions, and that way I can answer your questions. So if you're interested in knowing how I pack for trips, then just keep watching. Okay, so I pack for trips differently depending on the length of the trip, as I feel everybody does. But I am a typical girl, so if I'm going on a trip for a month, I pack like I am leaving for 4 months, okay? But if it's a day trip, I'm definitely gonna pack for a day trip, and weekend trips, I'm gonna pack for a weekend trip. So I'm gonna try and break it up within this video where I just talk about the specific things that I pack for like day trips, specific things that I pack for a weekend trip, and for weeks plus trips. Hopefully that works. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. As always, I never really think things through. I just sit down and record, but we're gonna work it through. Oh, another thing, I am trying to enunciate so you guys can hear me clearer. I keep getting messages that you can't hear me. I swear I'm not whispering. This is me talking. So yeah. Okay, so for a day trip, day trips are super easy to pack. I feel like this is no rhyme or reason on how to pack for these. It depends on the trip. I typically always have a camera with me, my camera that I record on. I use that camera for traveling purposes and making my videos here at home. I also bring my phone, which of course. I also have a wicked external charger. You know what? Let me get somewhat prepared. I'm gonna bring some of these items that I typically pack so that you guys can see. Give me a second. Okay, so I went to look for my external charger, but I can't seem to find it. Your girl doesn't have her glasses on, so I could just be overlooking it, or I could have just packed it in my luggage, and that's not in this room. But I will put it on the screen. I got it from Amazon, and it has one of the highest like amps that I've seen, and when you charge that fully, you can charge a device up to 10 times depending on the size of the device. I have used that for all of my big trips, and I have been able to charge my new phone. This is what, the 10, I think, the iPhone 10, I want to say. I've been able to charge this phone easily 4 or 5 times. Now if you have like an older version of an iPhone or anything like that, you might even be able to get more charges with it, but that isn't an outstanding battery charger. Now it's not cheap, what in life is, but I will say that I've already gotten my money's worth from my Alaska trip, my Cyprus trip, and all of my other just day trips where I just need a battery to withstand a long period of time, or an external battery to get me through time. One thing I haven't talked about, I just immediately went to like luggage. I also dress differently for different trips. So if I'm doing, right now I'm talking about day trips, if I'm doing a day trip, typically it's not going to be flying, so I'm just going to wear whatever clothes I want to wear for that day and based on the temperature of the destination that I'm going to. When I go to one of the more like weekend trips and the longer distance trips, I'll talk about how my clothes will change for the airport and my actual final destination as well, but I just wanted to put that in here really quickly. For day trips, I pack super light. So I originally got this book bag from REI for my Tanzania trip, and I have been using this as an actual book bag and as a carry-on ever since. This bag has an obscene amount of zippers. You have a zipper down here, you have a water pouch, you have a zipper on the side, which I like to put pencils and any really things that I need to access quickly. I have a pouch up here at the front, which is very, very convenient. Once again, I put more like lip balms and other things that I need to access quickly. There is also a huge zipper pouch right there. Once again, anything I need to see quickly. You have a huge mouth area where you can put books, clothes, your laptop can go right here. I never really know what this is supposed to be for. If you know, let me know, because child, your girl don't know. There's also another like separate section right here for anything. I think this is where I usually put, this is usually where I put my external battery or my luggage wear, which I can talk more about that later. And then there's even another water bottle section here where you can put stuff in the smaller section and stuff in the bigger section. Talking about that, regardless of the length of trip, I always travel with a water bottle. I know you can't go through TSA with water, but you can go through with a water bottle. I typically go through with this. This is my hydro flask. It has gone through many trips with me, and it has become accessorized, as you can see. But this is my favorite water bottle because it will keep the water nice and cold, and that is beneficial depending on where you are. Sometimes you can't get cold water, and your girl, I don't like really hot water, as I doubt anybody does. Like, you know, when you're like ready to drink water and you're not looking for like hot water, for like no hot cocoa or no tea, and you go to drink and it's like burnt, I can't deal with it. This is a really good water bottle. I got this from Amazon as well. I would try and link down as many things below as I can, but you know, y'all know me, sometimes I just be forgetting. If I forget, just check Amazon. A lot of things I buy are from Amazon. But this is a really good water bottle. If you don't like heavy duty water bottles, and if this water bottle is too expensive for you, because hydro flasks are not cheap, there's another type of water bottle that I always like to recommend. These like decompressed water bottles. These are really good for traveling, because when you don't have water in them, they're really compressed, you know, but then when you fill them up, they're filled up. The only bad thing with these is that once heat gets to them, they are going to the water is going to get hot and stuff like that. But overall, these are a really good travel companion as well. Any other necessities for day trips are just depending on the trip. That's typically it. I would typically just pack a carry-on-ish type bag, my water bottle, my cameras, and yeah, that's pretty much it for a day trip. Obviously I'm gonna have the clothes on my back and like the shoes on my the shoes on my feet. But other than that, that's pretty much how I pack for a day trip. Next, let's go into a weekend trip. So I do a lot of weekend trips, specifically when I am abroad. I'm trying to get more into doing them while I'm here in the US, but it's hard because you have to plan ahead, and your girl don't like to plan ahead for weekend trips. I like to do those spur of the moment. But anywho, for weekend trips, I'm gonna do basically everything that I do with the day trip. So I'm gonna have the water bottle, I'm gonna have the book bag, all of that stuff. But I also have additional things because typically, like I said, my weekend trips have been abroad. So that means I'm flying from one country to another, typically, because that's how I like to do my trips. So like when I was in Cyprus, I flew from Cyprus to Athens, so that was a weekend trip. We left Cyprus Thursday during the day, and we got to Athens Thursday night. When I went there, I didn't have these items, but these are items that I would have liked to have. I would have loved to have a travel pillow. I tend to bring these for longer trips. This is another thing that I scooped up from REI. It can be decompressed. This is in its decompressed mode, so it actually is rather thin, but you can inflate it. I've actually never inflated it, so child, don't get me to lying. I know you can do it. I think you have to blow in it, and child, I ain't in the mood. But you can blow this up and it does get fluffier and actually more like a pillow, if you will. This is a really nice buy, especially if you do a lot of international flying, because those pillows they be giving you on the airplane, okay, half of them, they aren't even in the plastic anymore. They don't even bother to give you a new pillow. So I mean, can you say lice? So definitely a good buy if you do a lot of international traveling. Another thing I would always say is a travel blanket. So this is something that I recently purchased and I still have yet to actually take on my flights because I always overpack. So this is really nice. It feels delicious. It has like the little Z clip, so you can always put it on the outside of your bag. Let's say like even like my travel, what do I call it? Even like my book bag, I can just clip this on the outside of my book bag instead of trying to stuff it in there. And then when I'm on the actual plane, take it out, pull it out, you know, get real cozy and go to sleep. So I would actually recommend a travel pillow too, or a travel blanket too. That way, you know, you never know what's going on with these blankets and these pillows that they have on these airplanes. And if you bring your own, at least you know that it's somewhat sanitary, or you know that it's in the sanitary level that you are okay with. Some other things that I like to do for weekend trips, like I said, I tend to do them in international places. I like to have a converter. Now this is a really good converter, but it's not the best that I've seen. And this is actually, funny enough, not even mine. I was supposed to give this back to a friend, but she never sent me her address, so thank you. And yeah, you're able to convert many places in the front, and then it gives you a bunch of pop outs in the back. So this is like the US conversion. I tend to use the European conversion the most, and this is the European conversion. If you didn't know, it has two big prongs and then a third one back there. This is another thing that you can get off of Amazon. It's not cheap. None of this stuff is cheap. I mean, Amazon ain't stupid. They know what's good and what's not, so they price it accordingly. But it is a good one, although I would like to get another converter because I hate only having one really good converter. I need to change my battery and then we will keep going. Okay, two other things that I typically like to have on a weekend trip, or just abroad trips in general. I like to have a travel wallet. I hate bringing my actual wallet that I use here to abroad places. It's a weird thing, but I don't like it. I tend to like a longer wallet because most European or just abroad currencies are wide and actually taller than the US dollar, and so it's just easier if I have a wider thing. And then also I like to collect my receipts. You never know when you're going to need the receipts, so I like to have the receipts. Typically in my travel wallets, I like to make sure that there's an obscene amount of card spaces, because I like to have a bunch of card stuff. And then I also tend to like collect little business cards from my trips, and this will come more in handy in the next thing that I talk about. I collect card stamps. I collected a beer label. I do that a lot. It's just, I like to do it, and I like to do that because I journal. Regardless if it's a weekend or if it's 2 months long, I like to journal. I tend to slack off towards the end of the trips. All of my trips I slack off. Like my Cyprus one, I think I stopped like before the last weekend. Yeah, I stopped on the, let's see, what's the last date that I put an entry for? The last date was the 20th, and that was when we entered Athens. We were in Athens for a weekend, so that means I skipped the last 3 days of my trip. That's not a lot in the grand scheme of things, but Athens was a whole different country, so I'm gonna hopefully get my life together and finish my entries. But I like to do this because you're gonna forget the really priceless things that happened on your trips, and being able to journal while you're in the country allows you to remember those inside jokes that you had, or those really cool things that you learned, or the really interesting foods that you ate, stuff like that. I really like this journal because it's like 3 journals combined, and I can just refill with this same like binding, as well as it has these clear pockets so I can put stuff. Like I said, I love to collect things, so I put like the business cards of some of the places. So like I got some jewelry while I was there, and so I collected the business card, and now I can potentially go on their website and purchase more jewelry while I'm here. I did like a bracelet while I was in Hawaii, so I put the bracelet in here. I also take like those labels, like those beer labels, and I actually put them in my entries in the journal. So I do kind of like a weird scrapbooking journal type thing. And then of course, as you can see, I just kind of put a hodgepodge of other stuff at the back. I think that journaling is a really good thing, especially, you know, I'm young right now, but when I'm like 50, 60, I'm not gonna remember what I did in Athens. I'm probably not gonna even remember that I went to Athens. So having journals like these where I can actually indicate certain things that are really, really important, I think is really, really good. And I really like this journal, like I said, because it's refillable. So I never have to buy a new journal. I just have to buy the new refilled notebooks, if you will. And I don't even have to get them from this brand. I can just go to the dollar store and get a journal, knock that thing in, baby, and we pushing, you know. So those are the main things that I pack for a weekend trip. Of course, that's not including delicates. So I do always have a pre-packaged hygienic or toiletry bag. I actually have a full-on travel drawer where I put all of my travel size items, as well as things that I like to travel with. In there are typically everything and anything that I need to travel, if it's not already in my suitcases. Sometimes I'll leave things in my suitcases, like I have a travel battery for my camera. I have multiple travel chargers for my phone that stick in my luggage permanently. So these are things that I think are always important. Of course, you need clothes. When I do a weekend trip, I tend to only pack for the weekend, so I might track one extra of everything, maybe, but when I do weekend trips, I like to only do a carry-on bag. So it just kind of depends on the amount of items that I'm packing. I always pack my computer on weekend trips because I get bored very easily at night, and I don't sleep the best at night. So I like to watch movies to go to sleep, or I watch YouTube to go to sleep. So I always have my computer as well, which includes computer charger. Those are the main things that I pack for a weekend trip. But like I said, a lot of my weekend trips have been once I'm already abroad and going to a completely different country. A lot of my weekend trips aren't really in the US, unless I'm like going to my alma mater for like homecoming or for graduation or something. And then in those instances, to be honest, I'm driving most of the time, which means I just throw whatever I want in my car, and I just live out of my car for that weekend and have fun, you know. But I figured these were the comment wanted more like structured traveling via flight information, so that's why I'm providing this information. Okay, so I did not talk about how I like to dress, and this is gonna tie me into my longer traveling packing arrangements. When I like to dress for an airplane, I like to layer. I know I'm not a huge layer person, like that's not a thing that I do, but for airplanes I do. I typically have a short sleeve shirt, I put on a sweatshirt, and I wear pants. So I tend to wear yoga pants or leggings because it's easy to get through TSA with those. You don't have to remember to take off a belt. You don't have to remember to check your pockets because you have no pockets on leggings or jeggings or yoga pants. With a hoodie, I mean, you have the one like pocket, but you take off your hoodie to get through TSA, so that's easy. Jewelry wise, I do tend to wear a lot of jewelry, but once you get through TSA, they'll just like buzz around your ears, or they'll just see you have a lot of jewelry and keep it pushing. That's not a huge deal. I do wear a decent amount of rings. My ring collection will be getting its life together soon, and those you do have to take off, so that is kind of annoying, but you can always take off your rings and put them in like a purse that you take with your carry-on, and I will talk about that in my next section as well. For shoes, I tend to wear things that I can slide into, so I tend to wear like my Adidas slides, which I actually just threw away, or I just got like a pair of Birkenstocks, like sandal Birkenstocks, or I have a pair of closed-toed Birkenstocks. I try and stay away from shoes that I have to tie unless they're my Dr. Martens. My Dr. Martens are shoes that technically other people tie, but I don't, so it's easy to get in and out of them. When I'm thinking getting into an airport, I'm thinking what is the least amount of stuff that I have to take out to get through TSA. So I'm just ripping off my hoodie, taking off my shoes, and then I'm done clothing wise. Obviously you have to take off the rings and the watch, but that's it clothing wise. Then I can focus on taking out all of my electronics, and that's the bulk of the things that I take out of my luggage when I'm going through TSA, whether it's a weekend trip or a long distance trip. I always keep all of my electronics, and I would highly recommend you always keep your electronics on you. I don't care how trustworthy the airplane or the airport is, take all your electronics with you. So I always have my camera in my carry-on. I always have my huge charger in my carry-on, my computer always in my carry-on. I even sometimes have I have a terabyte that has like my YouTube videos and movies on them. That's in my carry-on. I don't let any of my electronics go into checked luggage. I would never recommend that. Ever. Please never do that. I kind of went on a tangent there, but yeah, my clothes wise always is like that because it makes your life easier, it makes TSA's life easier, and it makes all the people around you easier. When you got those people taking off their belt, taking off their laced shoes, all that, it takes up time, and everybody is annoyed. Everybody just wants to get through TSA. Everybody knows it's a time-consuming thing that nobody wants to do, but it's something you have to deal with. So if you make it easier for yourself and others, everybody gets through the line easier. Bada bing, bada boom. On weekend trips, I've never checked luggage, but once we get to the 2+ week trips, I do pack luggage. One thing that I put on my bed and now I can't find, I don't know where it went, but I always have a lock on my checked luggage. Now, up until my very last trip, I have never had a problem with my lock, but my last trip, TSA actually stole my lock, so that's another story for another day. But I would highly recommend putting a lock on your luggage, but make sure it is a TSA approved lock, okay? Those you can get from CVS, Target, anything cheap like that. I think they run for like $10 or something like that. Highly recommend it. You can make your own custom code, or you can get the ones with a key. Either way, I recommend that because then you'll know if TSA goes through your luggage, but also you can protect yourself in instance that, I don't know, some random person picks up your luggage and it's not theirs. You know what I mean? You can protect yourself to a degree. So I would highly recommend a lock. Now, like I said, we're going into the 2+ week travel arrangements. Once I have 2 to plus more weeks, I always have a checked bag. I have an obscene amount of luggage. Obscene. Almost every trip it seems as though I need some other type of fancy luggage that I can't seem to use any of my old luggage. So I have a duffel bag, like a military duffel bag. I have a duffel bag with wheels. I have traditional luggage where I have the big daddy and then I have the small little baby. Is that it? I think that's it. I think I got rid of other luggage. Those are my typical, like, I am going to check you luggage arrangements. The only time that I use my military duffel bag is when I know I'm not going to necessarily be walking all that much, because child, that puts a lot on your back. But I mean, very few people are going to pull a military duffel. One. Two, you put your name on a military duffel, so it's very obvious that it is yours. And three, it's easier. It makes your life easier. You don't have to like take your time and roll around people. You can just speed walk around people when you're getting in and out of the airport. But you do have to consider the fact that it's going to be weighing down on you. All of my other luggage, it truly just depends on how your girl is feeling that day. Lately I've been sticking towards my more traditional suitcases, and to be quite honest, it's very rare that your girl uses that very small suitcase. I tend to overpack. I mean overpack. Even if I know there's going to be access to a washing machine and a dryer, I like to pack a lot. So when it comes to like undergarments, I tend to pack a week and maybe a couple days of everything. If I can get like 7 to 10 undergarments for, you know, top and bottom, all the situations, I pack it. I don't care if it's too much, I pack it, because you never know what's gonna happen with the washer and the dryer when you're at the location, and your girl just ain't about buying that type of stuff while I'm there. Don't get me wrong, I'll do it, but if I don't have to, if I could just pack 10 undergarments to get me through till I can find a washer or dryer, your girl's gonna do it. When it comes to clothes, depending on where I'm at, I tend to pack one pair of jeans, an obscene amount of yoga pants and leggings, and a couple of pair of shorts. That's just my general style though. If you're into dresses and skirts and all that, depending on where I'm going, I always like to pack those as well. I like to pack more casual outfits, and then I like to pack a couple of dressy outfits. I mean a couple, two. That's about it. Shoes, I like to have at least 2 or 3 different shoe options. I am very strategic in those shoe options though. I typically, so like the Adidas slides that I typically wear through the airport, those are not only my like very casual shoes, but they're also my shower shoes. I don't trust any shower that I washed permanently for a couple of years. Okay, so I like to always have shower shoes, so that is always on deck, and that's always in the back of my mind. Then I tend to like to have some form of tennis shoes. You never know if you're going to be walking a lot, if you actually have time to work out. Always a good thing to have tennis shoes. And then last, I like to have like a dressy type shoe where I can dress it up and dress it down. Lately it's been my Dr. Martens, but I mean, I have other shoes that I can use. I tend not to bring heels when I go abroad, but that's just my personal preference, by all means. Then of course I usually have my makeup travel case that I only take on like trips I know I'm gonna be wearing makeup. I took that on my Alaska trip. I didn't take it on my Cyprus trip. It's a pure trip on trip basis, but if I bring that, that's loaded with makeup, makeup brushes, makeup removers, etc, etc. And I feel like I uploaded a video? I don't think I've uploaded a video. I think I ended up trashing that video. Well, if you guys want to know the makeup, how I pack my makeup for traveling, just let me know. My next trip, I'll make sure to edit and record it for you guys. But I don't want this video to be too long, because I feel like I've already been talking for a year and a day. And just the other essentials, like I said, I still pack my travel stuff, and like I said, I just go to my travel drawer and I just start pulling. One thing that I haven't talked about is being smart when it comes to what to check and what to carry on. So lately, most airlines will not allow you to check something for free. So you need to be smart about whether you really want to check luggage. I have a couple of duffel bags that I can actually carry through as a carry-on, and I don't have to check. When I carry on a duffel bag with, even for an extended trip, that means my other carry-ons are going to change. So I typically have a purse, my book bag, and potentially one other item, potentially. But you can technically own, that's technically all you can have. You can only have 3 carried on items. I tend to not like that because that's just a lot going on. I like to only have 2 items, so I tend to consolidate, but I always like to have some form of a purse and my book bag. Those are my 2 staples. Those are my 2 staples. But if I can stand it, I also will carry on my duffel so I don't have to pay checked luggage cost. If I'm doing all 3 items, my purse tends to be rather small, so I can actually stuff it in my book bag to get past the security and all that, because it's just another item that I have to go through, let TSA see. It's just a lot, you know. But bringing a purse makes it nice and easy when you're abroad. Who wants to carry around a book bag every day, all day? It's really nice to just only have to carry around a purse, etc., etc., etc. So I would highly recommend you be strategic in how you pack. If you do bring a purse, I would put any super valuable stuff in that purse and then put the purse in your book bag. That warrants it harder for anybody who tries and steals something from you to actually know where to look, because most crooks are going to look in your pockets. They're going to look on the outside pockets of your bag. They're not going to take the time to open up your zippers, open up the purse, and get whatever valuables you have. So that's how I tend to travel. I like my last trip, I had a really small purse. I had my passport and all my cash and stuff in that purse, and I tucked that into my book bag when I was going through the airport or traveling where I needed to actually have my book bag with me. So these are just a couple of things that I think will help you guys. I hope this helped you guys. I hope it wasn't confusing or just tedious or extra work. Oh, I didn't talk about my luggage, as my scale, my luggage scale. I actually have a luggage scale. I'm pretty sure it's actually in my luggage right now, which I'm sorry about that. I will put a picture on the screen and link it down below. That is a very valuable tool. It's like a handheld tray. It's kind of like a handheld, like rectangle, and on the bottom it has like a hook, and the hook is where you attach the luggage to, and you can make it tell you in what is km, not kilometers, kilograms. I think that's kilograms. Child, I don't know. I'm from the US, child. I know pounds, so it does pounds, and I believe kilograms. I don't know, but you can have it tell you how much your luggage weighs. That is an invaluable resource if you actually are checking your luggage, because that way you already know before you leave your house whether you're over the weight or under the weight. And then that also allows you to think, okay, how much stuff can I really pack or purchase to bring back? Because if you are like me and you sometimes cannot control the urge to buy an obscene amount of souvenirs, if you only have a pound of wiggle room, you have to make decisions. Are you going to throw away stuff on your trip, or you just not about to bring too much stuff, or are you going to overpack your carry-on, which I do a lot too. So anyways, I think I've talked about all of the super important and kind of unique things that I bring on my trips. Like I said, I think the most unique things are that external battery, my book bag, my water bottles, that scale, how I pack, stuff like that. I hope this helped. If this didn't help, you know, what's new? I feel like a lot of my videos are just out there for the world to just not pay attention to. It doesn't bother me, but if this helped, I'm glad. I will be doing some of the other requested videos soon, like how to purchase a hotel room. Somebody asked me to demonstrate bronzer, so I will do like a how to beginner series. I'm working on that. And then somebody else asked me how I plan my traveling and expenses, and that will actually work because I'm planning a trip to Australia and New Zealand for my birthday, and I haven't really started that planning, so I can do that while I'm with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, y'all, if you have any more questions, please leave them down below. I answer all of my comments. It may take me a while, but I answer them all, and I truly am happy for all of you guys who take the time to watch my videos. Sound off down below, give me likes, subscribe. I really appreciate you all. So yeah, it has been enough of me blabbering. As always, y'all, it has been a real peace.